Hello, dear students. Today we are going to speak about the Royal Observatory, where time begins. Open your books at page 58. Exercise 1. What do you know about the Royal Observatory in Greenwich? Think of two questions about it. Look at the model.
How old is it? What is special about it?
Before reading the text, let's get acquainted with new words.
Boast,
Brilliant. Calculate. Hemisphere.
Navigate.
Observatory.
pinpoint, refracting,
Tricky.
Now read the text. Can you answer your questions?
How old is it? It dates from 1675. What is special about it? It is the home of the Prime Meridian and a place famous for research into the stars and the planets.
In exercise 2, you are to read again and think of the word that best fits each gap. Let's check. London is famous for more than its research into the stars and the planets. This is the place where time begins. The second. When the sun is exactly over a line called the prime meridian at the Royal Observatory, it is precisely midday in the United Kingdom. The third, it is exactly an hour before an hour after Greenwich Mean Time. The fourth, this imaginary line circles the Earth but can be physically seen and even touched on the country yard floor at the Royal Observatory. The fifth, the Royal Observatory was set up in 1675. The sixth, sailors needed to know the exact time in order to pinpoint how far they had traveled and where they were. The seventh, most clocks 300 years ago were not that accurate. The eighth, the Royal Observatory gathered the most brilliant scientists to search for an answer, and that answer was the prime meridian. And the ninth, a fixed point from which all time is measured. The tenth, photographs taken standing over the line with a foot in each hemisphere. The 11th, as well as the largest refracting telescope in the United Kingdom. And the last, major tourist attraction where visitors can truly experience the time of their lives. Now let's listen and check.
Where time begins, the Royal Observatory. The Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London, is famous for more than its research into the stars and the planets. This is the place where time begins. When the sun is exactly over a line, called the prime meridian, at the Royal Observatory, it is precisely midday in the UK. All world time is calculated from this. In the two nearest time zones, it is exactly an hour before and an hour after GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. This imaginary line circles the Earth, but can be physically seen and even touched on the courtyard floor at the Royal Observatory. The Royal Observatory was set up in 1675 to solve a tricky problem. Trying to navigate their way around the world, sailors needed to know the exact time in order to pinpoint how far they had travelled and where they were. However, most clocks 300 years ago were not that accurate. The Royal Observatory gathered the most brilliant scientists to search for an answer, and that answer was the prime meridian, a fixed point from which all time is measured. Because it goes all the way around the planet, the meridian divides the globe into two hemispheres. Visitors to the Royal Observatory often have their photographs taken standing over the line with a foot in each hemisphere. But that's not all there is to see and do there. The Royal Observatory complex boasts London's only planetarium, as well as the largest refracting telescope in the UK and lots of galleries and exhibits related to time. The Royal Observatory is a major tourist attraction where visitors can truly experience the time of their lives.
In exercise 3, you are to match the words in bold to their definitions. Let's check. Very intelligent is brilliant, splits, divides, not real, imaginary, has something that it is proud of, boasts, find the exact position of, pinpoint, worked out, calculated, sail, navigate, difficult, tricky. Now use the words to make sentences based on the text. Let's look at the examples.
The brilliant scientists at the Greenwich Observatory came up with the answer. Meridian lines divide the globe into hemispheres. The prime meridian is an imaginary line.
The Royal Observatory boasts the largest reflecting telescope in the UK.
They couldn't pinpoint their exact position. World time is calculated from the prime meridian. Before GMT, calculating the exact time was tricky, especially for sailors trying to navigate. Before GMT, calculating the exact time was tricky, especially for sailors trying to navigate.
In exercise 4, you are to find words in the text which are antonyms to the words below. Let's check. In the first paragraph, unknown, famous, real, imaginary. In the second paragraph, incorrect, accurate, spread, gathered, changeable, fixed. In paragraph C, tiniest, largest, minor, major. In exercise 5, you are to tell 3 things you have learned from the text. Let's look at the opinion and listen to it.
I learned that all time is calculated from the position of the sun over the prime meridian. I also discovered that the largest refracting telescope in the UK is located at the Royal Observatory. I didn't know navigation at sea was the reason we developed accurate ways of telling the time.
And your task is exercise 6. You are to find information about an important observatory or science museum in our country. You are to write about what it is and why it is important, its history, what visitors can see and do there. You are to write a paragraph according to the model. Listen to it.
An important observatory in Kazakhstan is the Tian Shan Astronomical Observatory. It was founded in 1957 and is part of the National Kazakhstan Space Agency. The observatory is around 30 kilometers away from Almaty. It sits at an altitude of 2,735 meters above sea level, so it has a good astroclimate, meaning there is often a good view of the night sky. The facility also has a 1-meter automated telescope, allowing scientists to collect data for use in collaborative international projects. Visitors to the observatory can go on a guided tour of the building and learn more about what happens there. However, unlike many observatories, guests can stay in the observatory's accommodation or even have the experience of a lifetime by sleeping in a tent beneath the stars.